Let's get down to business. For this episode, that is actually spelled Bezness. Why the change in spelling? Because of an unfortunate trend unearthed on YouTube while trying to cover some people I would rather not name because they are currently having a copyright takedown spree. Besides, the original title supposedly for this episode is related to Tunisia, that one tourist hotspot in the Middle East that became popular for middle-aged people looking for a tropical getaway and middle-aged women trying to get their groove back. Yes, Stella, we're talking about women that act like cougars and look more like saber-tooths. At least these people met in person in the middle of their holiday, right? The Brits and Aussies can call it a holiday weekend. Americans in some parts of the globe call it a vacation. So the locals can see how old, the women are. And yet they still get into bed with them. Why? If the answer is not yet that obvious to you, we will delve into that deep into this episode. For Untold Legends Season 3, Episode 7, we present to you Love Rats. The original episode title is supposedly Tunisian Love Rats based on the website of the same name. But since the act itself is no longer limited to Tunisia as discussed in the website itself, some people online choose to refer to it as the Bezness. The European Parliament's website defined business in an article entitled Love Scams and Bezness, wherein they quote, "The English term love scam denotes a form of online confidence trick by scammers creating fake identities on singles dating sites and feigning romantic intentions towards victims with a view to obtaining money from them. This modern form of marriage fraud is being conducted on a massive scale by organized gangs operating from Nigeria and Ghana, where they are generally safe from prosecution. Bezness, on the other hand, is a neologism coined from German word Beziehung, relationship, and the English word business, which typically denotes the exploitation of a female tourist who believes that she is entering into a Western-style relationship by a man who simply regards the arrangement as a meal ticket and the means to a residence permit. Generally speaking, Europe does not have the necessary laws in place to prosecute such fraudulent acts. Is the Commission aware of this problem and can it quantify in euros the losses incurred by European cities directly in the form of payments to scammers and indirectly in the form of welfare benefits claimed by them after they have succeeded in obtaining a residence permit? What action does the Commission intend to take to curb such activities, possibly as part of its action plan against disinformation, and to assist victims? What countermeasures can the Commission take with regard to bogus marriages concluded for the sole purpose of obtaining a residence permit in a member state and hence freedom of movement in the EU? Those are the questions that are listed here to use as criteria in case you don't have the answers to those questions yet. And then eventually, the term then evolved into love rats because it's a scam. There's the scammer and the mark, and the scammer then calls in some news sites as the rat. Still, some women like Memphis Sandoval from 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days would use the term Bezness in her claim posted as an IG story of getting bamboozled into a relationship with Hamza Mokni. From the website Showbiz Cheat Sheet, 90 Day Fiancé, Memphis claims that Hamza is a Tunisian scammer who knows about Bezness. It is reported where Memphis Sandoval insinuates that her husband, I think that's the dangerous thing here. It's already the husband. Hamza Mokni scammed her. She insinuates that Hamza is part of the marriage scammers in Tunisia, known for doing business. So here's a breakdown of the Instagram feud. According to Showbiz cheat sheet, in the early hours of April 14th, that's 2022, Memphis posted an Instagram story insinuating that Hamza scammed her. Memphis wrote, "Good evening, world. Let's talk about business. Who knows about business? This coming week we will be discussing business." The Instagram story was reposted via 90 Day Fiancé blogger at truecrime_janky. We have the Instagram post itself. The caption then reads, and this is the caption by True Crime Janky: "Memphis, yes, I know what that means. Sadly, I do. I have been to Tunisia numerous times as a tourist. I know so many women who fall in love into the hot guys in the resort. No need to say how it ends, right? Maybe, just maybe, you should do research before getting married to someone who you knew for 2 weeks. I can't imagine being a mom and bringing a man who is now my husband and who hasn't even met them. I will say this, I know firsthand how they operate. The romance scammers. That being said, I won't make any conclusions because you left the tell-all where you had an opportunity to say your piece. You won't talk now because you filmed new season. Why? If you hate TLC so much, just say it. I know you want to. Hashtag 90 Day Fiancé." Showbiz cheat sheet continued. Memphis claimed that Hamza is what Tunisians as part of a marriage scam that is commonly referred to as business. This phrase comes from a 1992 film by Nouri Bouzid titled Bezness, which is a story that follows a young male Tunisian escort who is eager to leave his life behind after a rich German man offers to sponsor him in Europe. There's another account here posted on Showbiz cheat sheet that was provided by Laura Halali or Laura Jalali, wherein it says on the post, former 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way Season 1 cast member Laura Jalali, who was also married to a Tunisian man, Aladdin Jalali, has been spending a lot of time with Memphis lately. She posted Memphis on her Instagram story this past month when she visited her in London, Ontario. On the post by @truecrime_janky, Laura confirmed this business that Memphis was referring to. I'd like to apologize this early if the image that I was trying to get from Showbiz cheat sheet did not upload properly, but let's continue with the article. Laura commented, "What maybe people do not realize is the amount of time these scammers put into you. WhatsApp video called 2 times, 3 times a day for over a year. It honestly is like an occult that you think they're Jesus Jews only to find out that their number one goal is for you to bring them to your country. They have been doing this for decades over in Europe and now North America. Please do not condemn the woman who eventually buy into it. It's like listening to a timeshare sales for over a year. By the time you go to meet him or her, you already bought the buy-in and sealed the deal with marriage." And then of course, Showbiz cheat sheet included the reply by Hamza and his sister Rawiya. So after Memphis posted about Hamza doing business, both Hamza and his sister Rawiya Mokni each posted their own responses denying Memphis' claims. On April 15, Rawai posted an Instagram story which fans understood as directed towards Memphis. The post reads, You are just trying to show your good side. It doesn't exist. But your reality is worse. You want to play the victim, but you are a cheat and your mask will fall soon. At the bottom of the page is a GIF or GIF that reads, "All you do is lie." Also posted by truecrime_Janky. Janky posted a caption, "Part 2 Drama between Memphis, Hamza, and Rawiya. Go see post before to understand this one, please." So she's referring to the other Instagram post that we read a while ago. Laura also weighed in on this post, commenting, "Sadly, the family is very much a part of the scam. Also, hence why they also push for marriage because it's a green card for all of them if the cards are played right." Hamza also posted his own message, seemingly addressing Memphis. The Instagram story reads, "When a person can no longer control you, they will try to control how others see you. These lies will feel unfair, but stay above it, trusting that other people will eventually see the truth just like you did." Many fans were frustrated with Memphis for leaving the 90-day fiancé before the 90 days tell-all set early. Many fans are hoping there will be a 90-day fiancé happily ever after season to reveal the full story of Hamza and Memphis' relationship. Here's the thing. Memphis isn't that old to resort to marrying someone 2 weeks into the so-called relationship. In fact, she's hardly a saber-tooth. What is a saber-tooth? According to Urban Dictionary, and there are several definitions that I've unearthed from this website, a saber-tooth is a woman that is the older version of the cougar, a 60-plus-year-old woman who is on the prowl for fresh, young male meat. She is old, rich, and looking for a crazy night of sex with a guy who can go all night long without Viagra. And that is actually the first definition that popped up. It sounds so specific. I can't blame them, since the moment we delve deeper into the stories here about love rats, then you realize that, yeah, there are some women who try to feel still desirable while scoring young hot man, young enough to be their son or grandson in some worst cases. They've been often called as heartbroken Shirley Valentines according to the website Daily Mail UK. You may be familiar with that. It may have been one of those notorious websites for the tabloid level news, but once in a while you get some information from them regarding this love rat situation that is happening and was traced, at least in this case, from Tunisian love rats website. Daily Mail UK actually described Tunisian love rats website as a rogues gallery, and rogues gallery because it's a website where heartbroken women share their stories and end up exposing their lovers, posting their names and their photos just to warn the rest of the tourists about such scams as these. To quote that article, thousands have become members of the website TunisianLoveRats.com to compare stories and even upload photos to warn other women against the heartbreakers. They accuse waiters who promise love, security guards who offer marriage, and photographers who chase after older women on the site, with women posting their stories of summer romance gone bad. While Daily Mail UK posted some of the photos, they made sure to blur the faces. In case you're listening to the podcast version of this episode, one of them actually looks like a twink. Looks like a minor, but not really. Maybe he's just skinny. The other guy, well, at least he looks mature. He looks like in his mid-20s. Although since the faces are blurred, I can only try to analyze or guess their age using what else is shown on the photo. So a happy ending In the film Shirley Valentine, the main character finds love with a local while on holiday with Greece. Well, at least that's in the movies. But how about in real life? And how about in Tunisia itself? There was one user, quoted by Daily Mail UK, named Cynthia53. She writes, I have recently met a man in Sousse. He came on strong to me. Then I found out that on Facebook he is engaged to an English lady, not me, and I've been told he's married and has children in Tunisia. When I asked him all about these subjects, he denied being married. He suggested the fiancée was the one who wanted to marry him and move him to England. And the ultimate insult came on the last day of one of my holidays. I asked what I should do with all these questions. He said I should keep them inside my head. Speaking about a local man named Khalil, username Angel69 alleges this guy is a complete money-grabbing rat. Tall, tanned, swag look, afro style hair, dimples, loves dancing, practically lives in Platinum in Kantui. Had plenty of not so good dealings with him. Anyone else had the misfortune of meeting him? Unquote. Yeah, that's mainly the reason behind Tunisian love rats. It's an opportunity for them to research, weird as it may sound, about the lovers that they've met in Tunisia. And when I say met, it means that they've met them in person. Just in case you forgot that I mentioned a while ago that these are involving vacationers, middle-aged women or older, who are looking for love and ended up finding a rat. So in another post also on that website, an apparently young user called OneLove2012 asks for help translating a letter from the mother of her Tunisian boyfriend, which allegedly asks her to forgive him so he can still receive his papers and live in the UK with her. So then other comments chimed in saying, and this is from Tunisia Sun, also a user from TunisianLoveRats.com, even the mothers are full of the same BS lines. My mother-in-law said all that when I was covered in bruises from her son. They can never do wrong. Oh my god, now we are entering DV territory here. And some of these mothers, I say some because I'm not generalizing them. Some of these mothers think that their sons can never do wrong and would do anything for their sons to at least gain access or an opportunity for citizenship in the UK. Those are really sad stories that really got unearthed from Tunisian love rats. Exploring the website on my own to check some newer stories. Some stories are bordering on libelous. I'm sorry, but already looks problematic to me. What more if you add the element of shaming? Stories of assault are also found in the Tunisian Love Rats website. Name and photos of the alleged perpetrator are also included. It made me cringe since it makes me wonder if they have resorted to reporting these alleged felons to the cops and got disappointed, hence their option to resort to naming or shaming these alleged felons. And so this has been going on at the height of the tourism boom in Tunisia. Enter the pandemic. This means more travel restrictions on a global level and less marks for the rats to go after now that the resorts where they still work don't have as many bookings as before. So what's a resourceful rat out to do? The internet became the immediate solution. It might partly explain why there are more dating apps now than before. This adjustment then brought an interesting question in the Tunisian Love Rats website. Is Tunisia the new Nigeria? And we have some of these replies. Hello everyone. I'm sure we all know that the majority of scams and scammers come from Nigeria. Do you think that Tunisia has become just as bad? As an American, I can honestly say I would never want to go to Nigeria. When I even hear the name Nigeria, sadly, I automatically think internet scammers. Would this turn you off to visiting Tunisia at all? I still want to go to Tunisia because I love to travel and I want to see the country, the history, the culture, etc. I just don't want the love rat idea to turn me off to my love of travel. Any thoughts? Anyone ever traveled in Tunisia without any rat troubles? Tunisian rats have always been active on the internet, but nowadays, more than before, because their income has dried up due to the COVID situation and the lack of tourists. So, yes, we could say that Tunisia is the new Nigeria, sadly enough. Although rats don't claim to be Tunisian princes who need to move their money to an outside bank account, they scam a different way, emotionally. Visiting Tunisia, I always suggest to do it as a package with tour guides and hotel groups. Once you understand that scamming is rife there and you are aware that they are very clever in that approach, you can protect yourself. Hotel staff, waiters, animators, shop staff, anyone you can come in contact with. Decent Tunisians rarely make contact with tourists outside of their work. But yes, Tunisia is worth seeing. But I suggest you continue reading here until you get a better understanding of how rats operate before you make a choice. I have visited Tunisia many times, mostly with friends and family. One time I went on my own and it was okay, but that was after several previous visits and after having some knowledge of the culture. I stayed in a nice 5-star hotel and I still had some trouble, even in the hotel, even bother from the hotel staff. I reported everything. One night, a group of young men from Algeria got in the lift with me and followed me. They seen which room I went to and they came back about 3 a.m. repeatedly banging on the door. I called the reception and they confirmed they checked the CCTV and it was them. It turned out they were loyal visitors of the hotel, so nothing was done except the manager having a chat with them. It was a bit tiring in the hotel itself too, as they never give up in chatting you up even if you totally blank them. Nevertheless, I love travel and Tunisia and it is a beautiful country definitely worth visiting. Go with at simple advice and pick a package deal and guided tours only. Do not venture outside the hotel on your own. I remember having to stay in a hotel when my house needed a new roof. Oh my days! It was like swatting mosquitoes away. They won't leave you alone. If you sit on your own having a coffee, it's like open season for hunters. Good grief, it's exhausting. Telling them politely at first, sorry, not interested, to fuck off and leave me alone. All in the space of one coffee. Be on your guard and always be aware of your surroundings. Although now I'm more comfortable going out alone, in my earlier days of visiting Tunisia, I was spiked with a date rape drug. Nothing was done about it. The CCTV miraculously disappeared and I had to sit in a room with the police and the 2 men who did it. I definitely don't recommend going out alone, especially at night. I don't think the Tunisian love rats are as advanced as the Nigerians in their online scamming, but they are possibly on their way. I have been there 3 times and I don't feel any urge to go there again. I have seen the main points of interest there and there is many other countries also beautiful and worth seeing. I stayed briefly in a hotel in Tunis and the only thing that bothered me there was some guy in the reception who went to buy me a power adapter. I gave him his money back even though he did not want to take it and was not friendly towards him at all, so he left me alone. No outsiders were allowed on the hotel property and it seemed pretty safe. The reason I stayed in the hotel then was because it was the first time I was meeting my husband and was not sure if I would like him in person. So I did not want to be stuck in a situation where I had to go with him. I stayed in my room till my husband arrived to pick me up. I cannot imagine going back to a country if somebody would give me a rape drug. Also, I would not go back there alone for sure. Each time after that, my husband met me at the airport. Even then, there were guys on the train who were trying to flirt with me, even with my husband next to me. He would get pissed off at me for them flirting, even though I was not even looking at any of them. It was tiresome, and I don't feel any urge to go back to Tunisia at all. Before I arrived at the hotel, the taxi driver ripped me off, charging me 120 dinars for a ride to the hotel, and then when I sat down briefly in front of the hotel, some waiter charged me 40 dinars for a bottle of water. I did not know at that time that I was ripped off. Lol. But no, thank you. There's many other places where one does not have to worry about being scammed. I think it's a much better idea to go for holidays where one can truly relax and let their guard down. Now knowing what I know about Tunisia, I would not advise any woman to travel there, especially alone. No, the two things are not the same. They are in fact very different and cannot be compared. In Nigeria scams, the 419 scams, the one and only objective is to obtain money with as little personal face-to-face interaction as possible. In fact, most Nigeria scams do not involve just a single scammer, but industry-like distribution of labor of scam groups. Nigeria scams, therefore, also usually involve catfishing, in that a person and not who is and what he claims to be. Bezness, as practiced in Tunisia, has a different objective in that the goal is to obtain a visa and or money and or sex, and for this, a face-to-face and closer interaction is a vital condition, and as such you will usually with just one real person at a time. No catfishing. And then it became obvious how a lot of these experiences involved women who appeared alone, or at least alone with just one single companion, like the story of the person who traveled, or at least out in the city with her husband. And then you realize that there are even more stories about these broken-hearted women who were scammed out of their emotions and cash that are going around the internet. And it's not surprising that it's another British website that had this uncovered. This is a story of a heartbroken woman aged 54 that was shared with the British web news site The Sun. Duped her out of £35,000, then dumped her when he couldn't get a visa. And the story starts where mom of six, Michelle Amri, with her 21-year-old lover 2 weeks after their first face-to-face meeting. Why does it have to be 2 weeks? There must be something that Memphis Sandoval uncovered in her own experience. Then again, back to the story. Michelle Amri was flattered when Hama, then 21, started sending her flirty messages on Facebook, and after a 6-month online romance, she flew out to Tunisia to meet him. 2 weeks later, the pair tied the knot in front of a small family group, but Michelle's fairy tale ending soon became a nightmare, which left the mom of six heartbroken. The 54-year-old said, "When we started messaging, Hama was half my age, and I was wary about his intentions. I'd heard horror stories about young Tunisian men scamming older British women for money before. He was gorgeous, and I couldn't help being attracted to him, but I was divorced with 6 children, and I thought surely he would never fancy an old girl like me. He didn't seem interested in money, and he was sweet and caring. He constantly showered me with compliments, telling me, 'You're beautiful.' I was tempted, but I held back. I didn't want to fall for him too easily." Despite her reservations, she agreed to visit Hama in Tunisia in 2010. She said, under the beautiful sunshine, everything seemed perfect. Hama was even better looking in the flesh, and he was so affectionate. I felt flattered. After days, Hammer proposed and told Michelle his religious family would be happier if they tied the knot. Although she felt it was too soon, Michelle agreed to wed her lover in a local mosque after he told her it would only be marriage in Islamic law and not legal. She said, "It was so romantic and spiritual. I felt totally at home with Hammer and his family. It was like I had known him all my life." Hannah then begged to marry him legally, but she wanted to wait. I visited as often as I could, and we spoke every single day when we were apart. I couldn't help falling for him. He was never too busy to talk to me. Hannah asked Michelle to move to Tunisia, which she thought was the perfect idea, although she admitted she was nervous about uprooting her life in the UK. Eventually, she agreed to marry him legally, despite the disapproval of her own son, Jason. Michelle said Ham and his family were very poor, so I often helped him out with his money. I knew life in Tunisia was tough, and Hama had struggled for years to find work. Jason said, "I don't like this, Mom. He's only in it for the money, and he's using you." But he didn't know Hama like I did. I said, "Don't be silly. I've been seeing him for ages now. I know what I'm doing." We'd been together for at least a year before Hama first asked for cash, hardly the approach of a desperate scammer. By then, I had met his family and seen how little they had. That's how I knew he genuinely needed help. So, ignoring my son's warnings, I trusted in my heart and went ahead with the legal marriage. The couple wed in Tunisia in May 2012, and Michelle said she felt like the luckiest woman in the world. I'd been married before, but it didn't work out, and we divorced in 2005 after 32 years of marriage. It was really important to me that this time it was perfect. This time I knew it was forever. But just a week after she returned home, Hama called and asked if Michelle could pay for a UK visa. She said, "I was confused. We had always talked of building a life together in Tunisia." He said he wanted to be able to visit me and my family, which seemed reasonable. But when I realized a permanent visa would cost over £1,000, I told him I couldn't help him. I had already spent thousands to support him and his family. I thought a visitor's visa would be the best option, and he seemed happy to apply for that. The couple were shocked when his application was rejected in January 2013, a year after their marriage. They appealed the decision, but at the tribunal, which found Hama had lied about having a job at a farm, he was turned down again. Michelle said, "I was sad that my husband couldn't come to visit me, but I thought we would just carry on as we had been." I started looking at moving to Tunisia. Life in the sun will be bliss, I told myself. But just days after the hearing, Michelle was in for a shock. She said, "I received a WhatsApp text message from him ending our marriage after 2 years. It said, 'I need someone who can support me with money to get a visa. I'm sorry.' He told me I was too old for him, and if I couldn't help him, then he'd have to find someone who could." I was heartbroken. I felt completely used. After we got married, I gave Hama access to my bank account, and he withdrew money every week. I didn't have much cash, so I'd been letting him have the child tax credits that I got from my 2 youngest boys, who hadn't turned 18 at the time. That money should have been spent on my kids, but instead I wasted £35,000 bailing him out of debt, and even more traveling back and forth to visit him. How could I be so blind? I felt like such a fool that I let him take over my life just to entertain his hopes of getting a free ticket to the UK. I had been caught up in my little love bubble, flattered that such a good-looking, charming man was interested in me. I should have realized it was too good to be true. There was worse to come when Michelle logged onto her husband's Skype account a week a few weeks later to find out he was talking to more than 20 other British women. Tears streamed down my face, said Michelle. He says that he wasn't using me, but I'll never believe that, especially as he's now moved on to other British women. I can't believe I've now been through my second divorce, but I've learned from my mistakes. I feel stronger and wiser now. I'm just glad that he didn't get what he wanted out of me. Hama denies using Michelle to get a visa for the UK. He said, "We did apply for the visa and I was refused. We appealed but it was refused again. I'd been waiting more than 2 years. I don't believe in relationships if you can't see them. You know, she's over there and I'm all the way over here, so it doesn't make any sense. It's difficult. How can you live together as husband and wife when she's over there and I'm over here? I'm sure you have ideas about Tunisia and what it's like here. No jobs, it's hard to live here, but I didn't use her to get a visa. Since splitting with Hama, Michelle has found love with another Tunisian man and has now married him. Not gonna lie, I felt bad for the kids. What did they do to lose their child credits money, as it was called in the UK, to their mom's toy boy? That term was weird to me. The toy boy, I mean. But anything for easy money and the UK visa, right? From one British website to another, we have another story of a heartbroken woman who thought they found love in Tunisia. And this is from mirror.co.uk, and this is entitled "Disabled 64-year-old Heartbroken After Being Dumped by Tunisian Toy Boy Husband Shortly After He Arrives in the UK." Almost same scenario but different characters. So to start off, a disabled 64-year-old who fell for her Tunisian toy boy online before marrying him and securing a visa for him to live in the UK has described how she was dumped shortly after he arrived. Patricia, who suffers from crippling osteoarthritis and has to use a mobility scooter, flew out to marry 26-year-old Monder from Tunisia after he contacted her on a dating site. Patricia, who lives in the Midlands, describes how she was looking for love online when she fell for Monder, believing they could spend the rest of their lives together. When he first contacted me, he was all lovey-dovey and he started telling me he loved me when we had been talking for 3 weeks and asking me to go there for a holiday, she claims on the documentary. That was this documentary Holiday Love Rats Exposed, aired by British channel Channel 5. There was a 33-year age gap between them, but Monder reportedly convinced her it could work. "I thought age was just a number and he kept drilling that into my head," said Patricia. "As long as we love each other, it's all that matters. He made me feel good because he was younger than me." Patricia jetted out to meet her man 6 months later. She says it was love at first sight, and according to Mail Online, went on, "I had been there for 5 days when he said, 'Let's get married. Let's just do it.' I thought I loved the guy. Go for it. He was telling me he was going to treat me like a princess. We could buy a car and he would take me out where I wanted to go." They married in 2012, but Patricia paid for the whole ceremony, Mail Online reports. Patricia returned to the UK alone and managed to secure Monder a visitor's visa 8 months later. But when he flew over, their happy life was gone completely. She describes how having him at home with her was a nightmare, filled with constant arguments. Realizing it was different, Patricia refused to pay for a new visa, and she was left gutted when Monder announced he was leaving for Portsmouth. Might as well go straight to the point after I display a screenshot from TunisianLoveRats.com about how the business is alive and well in other countries. Because the most infamous love rat at the moment is not even from Tunisia. He is from Egypt. I don't even have to mention his name due to copyright takedown spree he has launched against more than 125 reaction channels. So, finding a Facebook page talking about the Bezness from Egypt helped a lot in this research. In case some translation felt a little off, my apologies as I don't speak German. I am solely dependent on Facebook's translation feature as I read this. Just a reminder that the photo used is just a stock photo, not a photo of the actual Egyptian rat. Business stories, true cases, number 1. Egypt and the age difference. We received a message some time ago from a very nice woman who was in Egypt with her German husband at the time. She already met a much younger Egyptian on her past holidays, age difference of more than 30 years. This one kept talking about getting married. She then began an extramarital affair with him. This desperate woman, nearly 60, asked us for her opinion. Deep down, the lady already knew the truth but couldn't admit it. She was blinded by her emotions and feelings for the Egyptian. She was considering dumping her husband for the holiday flirting, throwing away her entire life she had laboriously built. We were having discussions within our admin team and had great concerns. Hereafter, we'll show you what we found suspicious in this case. The age difference. It has to be noted that the woman looked beautiful despite her age. Nevertheless, the alarm bells have to ring here. A healthy, hot-blooded young man would never marry a woman who could be his grandmother and still be serious about her. This is almost completely out of the question. Dishonorable and also understanding. If an Egyptian Muslim doesn't mind his flame getting married and accompanied by the husband, there are no more playrooms for interpretation. This Egyptian is aiming for something completely different: money and European passport. No access to my Facebook account. The lady had no access to his Facebook account. He didn't have her on his friends list and he fought back. This is where the gentleman was probably afraid his game would fly up. His account is not visible to strangers at all. We talked to the lady and appealed to her sanity. She would risk it all to follow her emotions. If a divorce from her current husband, would her securities be like her savings, house, etc.? Forehead, that would be incredibly reckless. We hope she made the jump. We would like to warn you, please, please, please don't fall for holiday flirting thoughtlessly. Don't invest too much in these men, especially during the pandemic. The need in Egypt and other poor countries is great. Nothing is left untried anymore. They will put themselves in a lot more to convince you of the great love. One interesting angle about love rats traced from Egypt is how some of them would go as far as pretending to be women. One story goes as follows from the same Facebook page. Lockdown time is high season for online eaters. Have you ever been contacted by women via Facebook and company? If you are female and you're currently having a conversation with a young Arab woman, you should become clear of hearing. If those Arab women suddenly show a strong interest in you and your private life, the alarm bells should be ringing. A perfidious scam by witnesses is to create a fake profile as a woman in order to unhinderedly make friendships with preferably European women. The reason for this procedure is very simple. One time, they creep up on the confidence of potential victims. When this hurdle is completed, they often tell about their brothers or other relatives who might be interested after seeing a photo of her just by chance. A clueless woman feels flattered and falls for the pretended attention of the one. Since the Arab or Black African was recommended by a Facebook girlfriend, the potential victim becomes careless and builds trust with the bearer more quickly. If something like this has happened to you, please report the profile to us no matter what platform you discovered it on. The comments on some of the posts here remind me of the rogues gallery on TunisianLoveRats.com. Screenshots of Facebook profiles used to contact some women online, for the most part, are still there for everyone to see. It also serves as a warning to everyone else, mostly folks that understand the German language. It's been more than a year since last Facebook post made by this page. Some of the posts actually invite other women needing help to send their queries through Messenger instead. Said queries are for other women to be included in a so-called secret Facebook group. It sounds like these folks are starting to feel the heat. And so, my final thoughts. Yeah, I have some final thoughts even if I don't see much resolution from this at the moment. I am supposed to relate to some of the men, but I can't. I'm not even from a first world country. I'm not even what you may call rich. But I am not immune to such scams. Facebook may have had a crackdown against bots and suspected scammers on its own platform, but it does not mean I have not received any message from these love rats. I am hesitant to include some of my own stories, mostly because I have never had a holiday in Tunisia, Egypt, Morocco, or any of the tourist hotspots in the Arab world, or similar areas. And I end up using less and less of the dating apps that I still have because I keep seeing some perverts on my chat box asking to be friends. Sure, I received some messages from men that appeared Caucasian or white. Then they start asking me for my email address. Weird, since we are already talking on a dating app but would like to continue the conversation elsewhere. It turned out to be a 419 scam. I guess that explains the overly romantic language used in both emails. Maybe you remember that term getting mentioned a while ago. That person never messaged me again on the dating app. I will not be surprised if these photos sent are actually royalty-free stock photos and if the same person is not even a native English speaker. It's okay, I'm not a native English speaker either. But I have dated a narcissist, someone I met online while I was still working in Metro Manila who was nice at first, and then the next thing I realized, I'm the one paying for the dates. Yes, we have met in person. It's not a catfish. It reached a point where I have to walk away because it's emotionally, psychologically, and financially draining. No man or intimate partner is worth all that stress. So before I could find myself broke and miserable, I cut contact with the guy. He can go to his new sugar mommy for all I care. Back to these stories, I try not to be judgmental of these women simply because of my own experience. Being lonely sucks, of course, but we are never too weak or love-struck to not see the red flags waving right to our faces. With some of these women old enough to be my own grandmother, the least I could hope for most of them is not fall for the same crap again. Would TunisianLoveRats.com and similar pages help in spreading awareness about the Bezness? Yes, of course. But must the concept of a rogues gallery be adopted? No. I am conflicted about that part of the website because what if some scorned jilted lovers just kept posting stuff on this website out of bitterness? What if the bitterness is gone and the internet is forever? The internet is forever. So maybe some of them might have preserved some of the pages here, for archiving purposes. Love scams are getting harder to track now. Well, at least last time I checked. now that most of these rats have shifted their operations online. So getting rid of that dating app for the meantime may sound extreme, but it's for the better. Think of it as detoxing yourself from all the love bombing and sweet talk over nothing. Sometimes, literally nothing. So you can read all those stories online while taking them with a grain of salt. It's okay to fall in love or simp over some hot men. Yes, women simp too. But don't forget to use your head. Thank you very much for joining us in episode 7 of Untold Legends Season 3. Watch out for our next episode, Freely the Banana Girl. See you on the next episode of Season 3 of Untold Legends. Bye!